It should come as no surprise that it takes 3 seconds to get insulted by somebody. But did you know that it takes 30 seconds to receive a compliment? Welcome back to my channel. It's hard to believe it's already been one whole week since I recorded my first video. It took some perseverance and a lot of learning curves on my part, but I finally got the editing done and got it up over the weekend, despite both Vivian, Alec, and I all coming down with the stomach bug. Thank you for all of your kind words and feedback on that video, whether it was on Facebook or Instagram or here on YouTube or direct text messages for some of you. I have treasured every single one of those thoughts. Which brings me to the topic of today's video, receiving compliments. This is a beauty channel, and part of that is learning how to respond graciously in a moment when somebody is speaking with us. Plus, statistics have shown that it takes 3 seconds to be insulted by somebody. So that automatically means we are walking around with our boxing gloves up, metaphorically, bracing for impact because it only takes 3 seconds for somebody to lay us down on the mat because they said something intentionally or unintentionally that hurt us. Case in point, I can tell you exactly where I was when certain people came to me and told me that Candid class would never amount to anything. Some of them said it outright and said, you know what, you should stop this thing, you shouldn't pursue this thing, people aren't interested, you don't know enough. And sometimes it was a backhanded message like, oh, that's so sweet, shouldn't you be focusing on something more noble? I've carried those messages around with me for years, and now I finally understand why. 1, I accepted that message. My brain got the message that they were sending to me in 3 seconds. 2, they were negative, which means they stick. And they had emotional things attached to them, so I made them stick. 3, I have relived them over and over and over again. I recently heard a gentleman in an interview talk about how our brains are neurologically wired to require more buffer time when we're receiving a positive message, especially if it's affirming to us personally. How when we respond quickly with a thank you and then a change of conversation, because sometimes it can be awkward, we haven't received that compliment. The brain literally never received the message. We're hardwired to keep the conversation going. Say thank you and move on. Say, oh, that's so sweet, and move on. Respond with another compliment and move on. And then we wonder why we're so sad all the time, why we don't really believe in ourselves. We also know that for every 1 bad thing we heard about ourselves, it takes 5 positive things to build us back up. So I have these negative messages that are implanted deep in me, and it's going to take a lot of good messages that are just as strong to undo those. But that's not possible if I'm never taking the time to receive them. Which is why when somebody takes the time to compliment me now, I'm trying to make more of an effort to pause, let my brain actually absorb what they're saying, and let the message get through all the way to not only my head, but my heart. One way that I'm doing this is by writing them down. When somebody compliments me, I treasure it in the moment, and then I like to go back and, if I can, write it down, or at least jot down a couple of words about what stood out to me or what resonated in my heart. I want to be self-indulgent and share a story about a time where somebody complimented me about Candid class and made me believe that this thing is actually possible. I had traveled to see a friend out of state, and like we always do, we talked late into the night. As we were putting our glasses of wine away from the evening, she stood on her stairway and looked down at me. She told me 3 things. 1, Victoria, thank you for never making me feel like an idiot for not knowing some of these things about my skin or about my makeup or about my routine or my products. Thank you for never making me feel stupid. 2, thank you for never making me feel like I need to spend a certain amount of money to achieve these results, that you work with me no matter what my budget is. And 3, thank you for always letting me know that you care about me more than anything else. I gotta say, it took all that was within me to not choke up in that moment and make that into a huge scene right before we were all gonna turn in for the night. But I did go down and immediately write down those 3 things so that I could remember them accurately, because those were life-giving words to me. Not only because they were true and I needed to hear them, but because they stood in stark opposition to the words that I had been told prior, which were, you don't know enough, Candid class will never amount to anything, and you should be doing something more noble with your life. This is just a topic I've learned because it takes 3 seconds to receive an insult, but 30 seconds to receive a compliment. That's a big margin. I often don't take the 30 seconds. I am trying to work on this. I just wanted to share this information with you so that you can be informed, so that you can receive the positive messages in your world, and so you can share more positive messages with those around you. Thanks for watching. I love that you're here. I'll see you next week.